Gill Hall, hello. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, Nigel. We're Butlers Cheese based in rural Lancashire. We're a family business. We just celebrated 50 years, actually. My mum started making Lancashire cheese on the farm 50 years since. So, and I'm now in the process of handing over to my sons. So we're a multi-generational family business. And we're still making the same farmhouse Lancashire that she started in 1969.
Wow.
Along with quite a few other varieties now, I have to say. And we're probably most famous for Black Sticks Blue, or the first soft British blue cheese.
Yeah.
To take
I reckon you've got 13. Oh, hello. It's all right, Jill. These things happen. Hello. I reckon you've got at least 13 cheeses on the go, or some might be seasonal, but yeah. I've been through the list. It's great. So you've got obviously cows and goats as well. So it's and some of that you'll be getting locally, some maybe a bit further afield. How does it work?
So we've got hard, soft and blue cheese, which means that we can actually offer the perfect cheese board these days. So we've got our traditional hard Tasty Lancashire, farmhouse Tasty Lancashire, the overnight method. So that's a special cheese in its own right. And then Black Sticks Blue, which I already mentioned to you, which is complements it really well on the cheese board. And then the newest one is Button Mill. I'm just going to turn my mute button here. I'm obviously not very techie savvy here. I've got that sorted.
You're all right, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Oh, yeah, of course, I need it for to hear you, don't I?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Okay, how's that?
Okay, yeah, so we've got that. Then that's a perfect cheese board. This little baby that we've got here. So
oh, yes.
Blue.
It's official.
Just ready for maybe even ready for the hospitality trade, because obviously it's all pre-portioned and hygienic. So maybe that is something that we can start and talk to hospitality as they reopen.
Yeah. Great, but it is reopened. How's it been for you? I mean, how much of your business went to the on-trade as opposed to the off, as like to pubs and restaurants as opposed to supermarkets and delicatessens?
Yeah, we were lucky that we had a fair chunk of it in the retailers, so that carried on. But overnight, our wholesale business fell off a cliff, obviously. And in fact, we even took cheese back from people who suddenly couldn't sell it. And we tried to play a long ball game, and we said, okay, we'll take the stock back. We'll see what we can do with it ourselves. And then hopefully, when you get back up and running, you've still got the money to buy some more stock offers. So we tried to keep that relationship going at the same time as trying to look after our own business and pivot into what we have called a direct-to-consumer model, where we supply, cut it up directly and deliver it directly through Butlers Larder to the consumers. So we, in turn, look to the community to help us, and our local, I suppose, competitors who had vans where they'd been delivering to all these restaurants, lent us their vans to deliver direct to houses, direct to people's homes in the Northwest. So it was a very collaborative effort, certainly in those first few weeks when we were all finding our way. And that was great. That was a good thing that came out of it, that help your neighbour, traditional agricultural attitude, I think. Country attitude is what I think came through.
Yeah. Good Lancastrian spirit and all the stuff that goes with it. And also, how did you cope as far as, did you stop making cheese? Did you always carry on? Because that must have been thinking, you know, what can we do immediately tomorrow?
Yes, our priority was to keep making it and to keep packing it, because obviously we are key workers in that respect in the food chain. So we wanted to keep turning the milk into cheese. What else do you do with the milk anyway? You have the milk coming at you, so you want to keep turning it into cheese. And our plans were twofold, really. One, we had to cope with staff who, some of which were isolating for different reasons from an early stage, and some of which were full of fear for coming to work. But as a key worker, there was a sense of duty. And I think we've gone through different phases of fear to gratitude to having a job to exhaustion because we're working with fewer people, we're not taking any extra staff on, we're trying to manage with what we've got. So there's been all these different emotions bubbling up at different times.
Yeah. And did you need to furlough any staff at any stage?
We didn't furlough. No, we did facilitate some of our more vulnerable staff not being in work at some stages, yes. But
Well
we
done.
haven't furloughed.
Yeah. How many people do you have on the books?
We've got just over 100. 20 in the dairy making cheese, and the packing part, because we're cutting it into these very small pieces from a great big round, is very labour intensive. It's done by hand. So we have a lot of people in that environment. And that's both the dairy and the packing line have been tricky, if I'm honest, because we've had to do social distancing. So if you're working 2 meters apart when you're usually maybe, I don't know, 2 inches apart, you have to then go a lot slower. Everything takes longer.
Yeah, you lived through foot and mouth a couple of times. Certainly I have. CJD and all the things. Have you ever seen anything like this?
It's different because this is the fear for the staff, whereas foot and mouth, I think, was more the fear for the raw material of the milk and the business, whether that could carry on. So it was more of a financial fear. This has been partly financial, but there's been a lot of health connections with this one. And however worrying financial fears are, there's nothing as big as your health. And that's been the biggest weight, really, keeping our staff safe, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I could see that as well. And the future, we're now, some of the restaurants, hotels and pubs are opening. It's a different norm. So it's going to take a while before there's a vaccine. That's obviously the key. How do you see the next 3, 6, 9 months?
I think positive. I think we feel that there's been a renaissance of British farmhouse cheese, and that's a real positive for us. So I think out of this is going to come a renewed appreciation from consumers for real and the real provenance and artisan, and seeking out the real deal and the people behind the real deal. So I think that's going to be a real positive going forward, whether it's in retail or hospitality or delis. I feel very, very positive about that. In terms of us as a team, I think we have learnt a lot about each other and we will emerge stronger. We've sort of rekindled our entrepreneurial spirit as well, so that'll be a positive. All this just do it now, of course, say yes and think how later, that we had in the 90s. I think that's been a real positive. And some of our staff who've been with us for sort of 25 years, they're saying, gosh, this is going back to the olden days. And that's good. So in terms of us as a company, at this stage of what I would say the next generational coming in, it's almost the right time to be revitalized and re-energized with this spirit of we can go any direction. We've got the product, just get it to the consumers, however the consumers want to receive it, whether that's in little bits of a perfect British cheese board or whether it's in great big kilogram lumps like we used to do. However they want it, somehow get the real deal and make it accessible to those consumers. That's our challenge.
Yeah, we like that idea of the entrepreneurial spirit. Now, well done to you, and also supporting local British. all the things that I think people really appreciate more than ever. How's it been on a personal level for lockdown? Have you been? Who have you had at home? How's it worked?
Well, because it's a family business, I've had that benefit that I'm working with my family. So apart from going to work, obviously I've done nothing. But in some ways, the less traffic has been easier. Setting up the Butlers larder on roads which weren't busy and trying to find new customers, that was a lot easier in lockdown. It wasn't always easy driving a chill van through the little streets when everybody was parked at home, and that was sometimes a bit tricky. And one day I was a van driver and the next day I was a cheese packer and things like that. So that's been challenging, if I'm honest, and quite exhausting in many ways, going from sort of crisis management and lurching a little bit. But overall, all the culture stuff that we've been doing probably for the last maybe 8 years I think that receptiveness of our staff to change, and that engagement that we already had with them and talking to them all the time, I think we've reaped the rewards of that through this period. Yeah. And people always say, don't they, you are only as good as the people you work with, and that culture has really shone through with them wanting to just give that bit extra, which has been needed in this time, overcome whatever hurdles we've had really to get the product out there in the best way that we could.
Yes, there will be good things to come out of it. And it's strange times, and it's unprecedented, all the words that we hear. But as you say, I do hope we come through out of it the other side and have learned a lot, and maybe a less frenetic and might slow down a bit and appreciate life and the nuances of it rather than going at it too helter-skelter. Cheese is a good example, enjoying a nice piece of cheese.
And maybe food will become a little bit more expensive, but people then will really value the quality that much more, because if you get a proper piece of cheese, it is only about 50p a wedge more expensive, and actually the increase delight that you get from eating it is probably worth it over and over. It's just a case of taking that first step to spend the extra 50p, and then you never go back, do you? And then seeking it out.
Yeah, well, it's a joy. Thank you so very much. I'm going to cut you off, but not cut you off now. But Gill, and good luck to everyone there. And it's just great. Good luck, whatever the future is. But nice to see your smiling visage.
Yeah, thanks for your support for Farmhouse Cheese, Nigel, because I think we need people who are out there like yourself, flying the flag for us, because it is just about that education and awareness. That's what the industry needs, really.
Oh, we'll be flying the flag for some time yet, and and growing up on Lancashire cheese, you know, you're preaching to the converted.
Thanks, Nigel. Thanks very much.